Hello, Dr. Deepika.
How
All
are
right.
you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Um,
Pleasure to
I will give you a brief introduction. I mean, I already know who you are, but my name is Upasana Mahanta. I'm a professor at OP Jindal Global University, and I'm also the Dean of Admissions and Outreach.
Okay, lovely.
And I really look forward to having this conversation with you. Dr. Deepika, we're going to talk about the transition from school education to university education today. And I think as educators, this is something that is very close to our heart.
Right.
And this is something that um, a conversation that we've had in the past. We've spoken about how to make this journey from school to university is a smooth one. We've spoken about the possible challenges in terms of school curriculum versus university curriculum, the protected life at the school and sudden, openness and freedom that is there at a university level, possibilities, careers, all of that. We were talking about all of that, and the pandemic happened. And it sort of, forced all of us to really look at how we understand education, both at the school level and at the university level. So I would be really, really interested in hearing your thoughts and reflections on what are the challenges that you see in terms of this transition today, especially in the context of the pandemic, where the students had online learning, where we are looking at CBSE trying to create different modes of assessments, including term one, term two, MCQs. And of course, the trauma and the loss and the fear that the pandemic itself has induced, and then now going into the possibility of going into the university education very soon. So given this context, what are your reflections on this journey from schools to colleges?
So happy to be here, Upasana. I'll tell you what has happened is that, India's economic standing is a reflection of its education system. Okay. But come NEP 2020, and it brings with us some hope, a lot of excitement of change. Anyway, as an educator, I'm very excited that it's going to happen. And what pandemic is done, at least for education, it's made education digital. It has given us a push which would not have happened for 10 years. Okay, so that's the brighter side of it. And with NEP being rolled in, I think it is much needed. And I'm really glad that a few things are happening where we would be bridging the gap between what is needed and what is that it's very important how to frame the education now. The success of NEP lies in its implementation. Okay. And earlier, we were having, and we still have, actually, we need to get out of it, and NEP will help us to. It was very exam oriented and score oriented system. Okay. So now what has happened with the NEP being brought in and class 12th being such high stake exams with stress on all stakeholders, whether it's the parents, the school, or the student himself. Now what will happen is, I think I'm glad that the transition should happen where it's not just the scores. There were these suicides, there was this depression and whole lot of things associated with class 12th exams. So when you have such high stake exams, and for what? I don't think there's much learning happening. What was really happening was the rotate system and memorizing being done. So uh, it was just to get into a college, the best program. Why get into that? Because of the placements. Okay. So I guess, there is a difference and there is an imbalance in what we create. That is the knowledge, the people with a lot of knowledge, but we don't have those jobs. So with NEP, we need to hone the skills of the students and we need to make them future ready. Okay. met a lot of my students who finished their degree, they finished their postgraduate, and they're still at crossroads at what to do, because that's not what they wanted to do, or that's not where their goal or life or whatever they find happiness in lies. So I think with vocationalization, with introducing courses which will make them future ready, which will give them that kind of stimuli and platform to pick up what they wanted. For example, whether it's fashion design or beauty or any other kind of design, or we get them into design thinking, which is lacking in our education system, is something that needs to be done. So I feel, we've had a lot of conversation on this. I don't feel only the scores should matter when the admissions are done into the colleges. It should be the entire profile created over the 15 years of schooling. What is that you do? You do catch up, you see the communication. The skills you want to see is communication, the soft skills, the reasoning ability, the problem solving ability, the creativity. And I think a lot of universities and your colleges should actually do their admissions based on these things. So we at school, what we do is that we start preparing the students 8th standard onwards. We have career counseling. We offer them, we already were, even before NEP, we were offering fine arts was very important. Performing arts was very important. IT and CS was very important, always a main subject. Entrepreneurship, retail, like I said, beauty, fashion designing, all these were already part of the curriculum. Now we've added artificial intelligence, So it's about just ensuring that the students are equipped, from being nurtured and mothered in the school time to going out to the college and finding themselves there. And I'm glad to say that with CBSE introducing, case study, project studies, experiential education, and online education now that, I really am happy that the online education is one more way. Like now we're on the online mode, the Delhi NCR is closed down because of the pollution and other things. But the education or the teaching learning process hasn't stopped. So those are the things, and the children have adapted to it beautifully. I'm not saying that it sort of replaces your in-person teaching, but it definitely fills in. And I've seen in senior classes, I've seen the students taking the responsibility and ownership of their own learning. So those are the things that I think which have happened due to pandemic and the circumstances which arose from it. And as a school, the career counseling, giving them the exposure to what all they can do, and it does not need to stick to the mainstreams of science and commerce and humanities. And with NEP saying that every combination is the right combination, so those are the things, which sort of have helped us. I have a career counselor who is a coordinator who is attached to a lot of agencies and universities. We do have a lot of academies and agencies coming in and talking about all those new courses and programs which have come into being. And also that a few of the colleges, like I think your legal department is doing very well. I know a lot of my students who joined that. So I think that's fantastic.
No, thank you for saying that actually, and I think you're right in saying that every challenge is also an opportunity.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think the challenge that the pandemic is or was has also enabled us to innovate in ways that we didn't think possible. We didn't, and the possibilities that online education opens up in terms of experimentation, in terms of innovative learning, pedagogy, and as you said, the students taking ownership of their own learning.
Yeah.
And it is so wonderful to know that schools such as yours, which are pioneers, is trying to make students, go towards courses such as design thinking or artificial intelligence, which is actually the future.
Hmm.
And I think future, as you rightly says, is, I mean, I'm not trying to undermine the importance of traditional courses, but we know that the future lies in courses where it is possible to innovate, where it is possible to bring in your individuality and your thinking and your ideas, and sort of go from there, take off from there. So it is wonderful. And I think what we try and do at Jindal University, for example, we have a liberal arts and humanities program. And there we have the possibility of a self-designed major. So
Wow.
when you are talking about, these kind of innovations, the students can design their own major.
Hmm.
So students have in the past have done things like environment and psychology together, right? So and they've designed their own majors and done tremendously well. And again, the point about taking ownership of your own learning is
Absolutely.
something
And I
that you've
think
so beautifully put.
school needs to take the responsibility of instilling the love for learning.
Absolutely.
Master English is a series of 8 books for school-going children. It is an integrated package of a workbook, activity book, grammar book, and a spoken English guide.